Pioneers, I wrote a letter to 2022 and yesterday, parting ways, so I can start another chapter in my story today. I'm writing this message to 2022 and yesterday to both share my gratitude and to say goodbye, to both celebrate and reflect, because while we're physically no longer share the same day and stage time, our lessons from them will be deeply ingrained in the older, wiser us. And as the curtains are pulled back for the next stage and level in life, and the next day goes on, our time together will live in each passing moment from what we've experienced before. 2022 and yesterday in totality, that year felt different. Yesterday felt different. In fact, maybe it touched us more than any other year of our lives. We saw a lot of the usual people coming and going, ideas coming and diminishing. I saw what was once concrete plans require alterations and patience, and they were fulfilled. At times, yesterday in 2022, it pushed us farther than we have ever gone before. It asked that we bend but not break, wander but not lose sight of this summit. We initiated through failure and heartache and increased in confidence in ourselves prior than we had ever had a knowing ourselves. Last year, yesterday, we became a new baseline. We leveled up, allowing our last year's ceiling become this year's floor, which is wonderful, beautiful. Can I get a hello? I think bigger now. I understand more. I expect greater things of myself. But I also now understand that was what was required of me to get to this point today, this year, is no longer sufficient to arrive to the next year, to the next level, to the next day. And that's probably the most valuable gift I've learned from 2022 and yesterday. Thank you. The reminder that we must be evolving, becoming our higher self, that the tactics required to reach our higher self are very different than those that the normal, average, logic hemispheres person achieves in life. So as I continue to achieve my ascend this year, I hope my voice echoes in your ears. Reminders that growth is uncomfortable because change is uncomfortable, but that discomfort is and always will be the cost of the mission to your higher self success, your outcome. Looking back at yesterday in 2022, last year, my past life, I can see the value tucked away in my heartaches, my endeavors, my trials, and my tribulations. I didn't necessarily make them obvious. I didn't highlight them. But I knew what I was doing to get where I am today. Building a craft of skill. Losing things in my life made room for me to grow, made room for other opportunities. I think 2022 and yesterday in my past for that space, that opportunity. Doors closed for me, but it pushed me into new rooms with new people, new ideas, new mindsets, and growth, opportunity, leveling up. Thank you for those opportunities. Struggling to find answers forced me to innovate a new mindset. Thank you for the new vision. You know, at the turn of every calendar year, I used to sit and reflect on the roller coaster ride, and think, now next year maybe will be my year. maybe next year is when the cosmos and the stars aligns for me. The big break for my life happens. A savior comes and saves me next year. But 2023 will be our year. We're gonna take it. Because if 2022 showed us anything, it showed us that mindset of thinking is parasitic, psychopathy. Things won't happen the next year, the next day, because it's your turn to stumble across the winning lottery ticket to win the race. No, the things that arrive are directly proportional to the opportunities that we create and manifest for ourselves in our life. Our successor 2023 has nothing to grant or give to us. It merely provides the arena for us pioneers to perform in. Can I get a hello? It's going to allow us to carry on to our higher self, to progress and evolve, to level up, to take the magic of the last 365 days and make the next 365 days something beautiful out of them. It's not so long as fate allows. It's so long as I don't give in to my old ways, my hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And if I don't have none of them, I'm in denial. 2022, we set the stage for the performance of a lifetime. And in 2023, we're going to reestablish that. Last year, yesterday helped assure us that our world within matters. That I was picked to be the star, the celebrity of my own lifetime. So as long as I don't stop, so as long as I don't give in, so as long as I continue to trust the man, the woman in the mirror, the external world can be manufactured through in my mind and heart. Like pieces of a puzzle. I am stronger. I can manifest my own reality. I am bolder. I am honed in on my vision, my craft, my skill. I'm going to get to my outcome. Reduce the dead weight, the distractions that keep you from evolving. I am not the same person I once was standing before you on the day we met. And I won't be the same tomorrow. I won't be the same next year. New year, new us. New day, new me. It's time to take 2023 and all it's gifted us on to new horizons and levels. We gotta adjust ourselves to the ever-changing winds of time. We gotta use the carefully selected craft and skill we're building to fully understand that nobody showed us the way. We showed we are the way, and always will be equipped to understand that and uncover this truth within. See, we gotta teach someone to fish so they never go hungry again, and then leave them a fishing rod so that they can eat for a lifetime, and then teach them how to farm so they can feed nations. So I leave this letter to yesterday in 2022 with the heart and mindset and the soul fully nourished and ready for all that comes next. Goodbye 2022, goodbye yesterday, and thank you for everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the ups, the downs, the heartaches. While our dance couldn't last forever, we're here again. And our history that we leave will echo across time. Because what you believe in your hearts and speak in your minds will eventually become your words and your reality. And what you repeatedly do gets ingrained in your subconscious mindset. And what gets ingrained in your subconscious mindset becomes an unconscious action and an unconscious activity. And I've always wanted mine to be guideful and helpful and nurturing to others. And today, in this episode of the Daily Candle Close News, we'll be speaking on the Year of the Rabbit. We'll be going over some of the upcoming symbolic connections, as well as some of the numerology, gematria, a little bit of the periodic table of elements, as well as some zodiac and astrology connections that we've found, showing us some important symbology behind this year, the year of the rabbit, aka the water rabbit, or the Chinese New Year. So very important. Some say it's the year of the cat, and that is actually the Vietnamese New Year. So let's just go off of what they tell us, what they show us, the exoteric and esoteric, what's given to us and what's hidden in plain sight. So please take notes and let us deep dive down the rabbit hole, shall we? So we're going to be discussing, like I said, the year of the rabbit, and we'll get straight into that. Getting straight into some of the symbolism behind the rabbit, and some of it you may already know, some of you may be pioneers, some of you may be new here. So we're going to breeze through this pretty quickly. So again, take notes and rewatch this video, but we're going to dive through this section quicker to get to the more esoteric, the numerology, gematria, date connections, technical analysis, what to expect as we move through this month of January into February, into the upcoming solar eclipse that will be happening in April on 4/20, Hitler's birthday, or National Pot Smoking Day. But the rabbit symbolism is specifically coming back to the divine feminine, and we just came out of the year of the sacred feminine in 2022, and we'll discuss that later, and we've discussed it in the past. And this dates back to many cultures, even the Mayan culture. And when you think of the divine feminine, you think of two things. You think of the moon, or you think of the goddess Venus, okay? And all of the deities that are plagiarized and tying back to the same thing, like Freya or etc. So the divine feminine is always associated with all of the moon goddesses, Artemis, Diana, Selene, Luna, and there's many, many more, hundreds more. Go and do your own due diligence. And the same thing with zodiac. There's hundreds of interpretations of zodiacs, not just traditional, sidereal, and Vedic. Okay, go and deep dive, research. You know, there's a lot that goes into what we see on the world stage. And the more you study esoterica, the more you're going to see it's up to you to make connections. You want to discover the relationships between things. You want to, a great leader develops pattern recognition, okay? That's very important, okay? Don't get caught up in right or wrong or duality consciousness, up and down, left or right, and that's some wisdom right there. So another thing that we get with this rabbit symbolism is love, fertility, sexuality, desire, and it's also associated with Venus, Aphrodite, or Astarte, okay? Or in Inanna, Ishtar, which we know Easter is a fertility cult holiday, and the Ishtar bunny, the Easter bunny, we have our kids out there looking for, what is known as the god Nimrod's testicles, which is why they're looking for Easter eggs. And we know this bunny is tied to the symbol of Easter. We know there's different forms of Easter: Orthodox Jewish Easter, Christian Easter, just keeping things simple and getting into the pattern, the symbolism, the connections. So Venus is associated with Easter, or Ostara, the spring equinox. That's what it has everything to do with. The true new year of March, the first true month, not January like the Romans have indoctrinated us to believe. And this typically falls between the 19th, 20th, and the 21st of March. This year, it'll be happening on the 20th. Venus, Aphrodite, or Apru, her month is known as April, the goddess of love, the month of love, Taurus, okay, in traditional zodiac. So this is important from the March time period into late April, and the eclipses, solar eclipses, that might bring bullish energy to the cryptocurrency markets that we've been talking about. So I'm going to show you how it's all tied in. So with the sidereal system, we'll be in Pisces, okay? between March 15th and April 15th, which we know is a very ritualistic day where we saw the Titanic sink, the Notre Dame fire, just so many ritualistic events happen on April 15th. So pay attention to that time period. This time period is ruled by Jupiter. Aphrodite, or Venus's father, is Jupiter. Okay, so we see the connection of connecting us back to Venus and Aphrodite right there. Okay, so tropical Pisces ends on the vernal equinox on March 20th, okay, in the new year. Alright, so during the time period of leading into Easter, Ostara, and that ritual of Easter. So in sidereal will be in Aries between April 15th and May 15th, and this is ruled by Mars, which we know is the lover of Venus. Okay, Venus's lover is Mars, Aries, the ram. So no matter how we look at this, it's always coming back to Venus. Okay, so this year is going to be hopefully a year of love if we know how to manifest that and not get distracted by the narratives and the chaos and the distractions that they send to us through our social media and the black box of Saturn and the news. So very important. But tropical, we'll see Aries starts March 21st through April 19th, right after the start of the spring equinox. So very important. So I like to consider these major systems on top of the Jewish Hebrew calendar and the Gregorian calendar that they give the world that we know is a scam, and I don't try and dilute my decoding. I don't try and overwhelm you with information. I'm trying to simplify my work here, show you the mad scientists behind the scenes. And one of the things I wanted to share with you was getting into the etymology of the word rabbit, getting back to the origins of where words come from, the meanings behind them. Okay, and this word rabbit has the full word rabbi in it, and in the Old Testament, rabbi is a Jewish scholar or a teacher, a key prophet, the priest, the pope, etc. Okay, so very important. That's me here at the Daily Candle Close News, trying to be the coach, the teacher, the tour guide leading you to your higher self. Alright, some people consider gurus to be the rabbi, the scholar, the teacher. Alright, I'm not here to be the guru. That's the cult think, okay? Alright, I'm just here to help you, guide you along your journey. But this is important between showing us the difference between the Gregorian scam calendar and the Hebrew calendar that follows the moon, the 13-year lunar cycles. So we have the moon within the word rabbi, tying us back into rabbit, rabbit being a symbolism for the moon, the 13 lunar cycles per year that the Hebrew calendar follows. We follow the Hebrew calendar. If you've been here for over a year, 2 years now, you know this. If you're new, do your own due diligence. And we know that the Hebrew calendar shares a big role in commerce, finance. So if it deals with the Hebrew calendar and the moon, it will affect money, finance. Something we focus on here is preparing us for financial stability and security, because we know financial freedom is a lie. So let's just revisit what we were talking about between the zodiac time frame of sidereal Pisces being between March 15th and April 15th, and then in sidereal we have Aries between April 15th and May 15th. All this is going to be some very important time periods coming up, okay? Maybe we get some love and some automatic rally in the market like we've been talking about leading into March and April before we get ready to sell in May and walk away. A traditional known stock market saying. So this is why I've been bringing this up. It's very important. And while we're expanding in our consciousness and mindset and leveling up in our game of trading and becoming wealthier, we want to pay attention to these things. Okay, it's inevitable. All right, so let's keep going, because we want to unlock the concept of the inner magician. All right, so very important. All right, so let's continue on. I don't know if this is the next slide I want to go to or not. We'll come back to that. Well, let's get into some gematria connections with the year of the rabbit and some date numerology, showing you everything that we need to pay attention to for the next few months. You know, again, mad scientist behind the scenes, one take uncut. Let's see if we can get this down pat. But one date that we're going to be approaching coming up that we've talked about in my last video is Friday the 13th, which is, 3 days away, still within that 7-day time period of our last full moon, and dating back to Rosh Hashanah and the end of the Shemitah and the start of the Jewish Hebrew New Year. That's 109 days, drop to zero. That's the 19. C19 was a very important event that shut the world down on a Friday the 13th. So I'm hoping to get this released today, the same day I film it, and not have to redo this. But this is kicking off the year of 2023. This is going to be very important. We know the negative connotation around Friday the 13th and how people tend to freak out, but I want you to pay attention to the 113 and Friday the 13th this year, because it's always tying us back into the Babylonian Talmud, the Baba Kamal, and that we always get this 113 or 311 when we pay attention to that. Go and do your own due diligence about these practicing liars, okay? Just also wanted to share this with you. Very important day that I'm paying attention to. So this day has everything to do with the connection being important and connecting us back to the pandemic that we saw. I want to find my 33 charts if I can real quick. I don't mean to drag out this video. Sorry about that, you guys. I thought I had it pulled up and ready to go. But I think it's on this main. Yeah. Let's go to the daily time frame and show the connections between this 33 and 137 number that we've been finding, which is 137, the 33rd prime number. And then let's connect this time period all the way back to the 12th of 2020, where we saw the market, the planned scam pandemic, where it was declared on the 12th of March, really the 11th, but if we go from the 12th and we bring it over to the 13th of Friday the 13th, we get a very, very important number, which is 1037. And I know it's hard to see, and because this chart's so messy, but something we've been making foolish calls off of. But if we go back to 312 and connect it to this day, the day before the market hit the bottom in 2020, we see it was a 1037 day time period. So that's dropped to zero in the rules of numerology. You get the 137, the 33rd prime number. So this Friday the 13th coming up is going to be very, very important. And remember, this was the 72nd day of the year with a 55 date numerology, and they were shutting the world down because of C19. It's all in the numerologic connections. And remember, 72, we saw it affect Bitcoin, giving us that same 72 right there. Alright, we saw it affect the economy and money, giving us that same 72 right there. Alright, so very important. And we had a 55 date numerology, and that tied us into Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin. So very important, okay? Undeniable. We've shared this in the past. Totally spelling this name wrong. Sorry, you guys. SOT. Right there. Okay, Satoshi Nakamoto giving us the same 55, and that was the day leading into this upcoming eclipse, or not eclipse, but Friday the 13th, the last Friday the 13th, where we saw the market hit a low, was basically 1,037 days away. Very important. Again, we shared in my last video, this is the 13th day of the year, tying us into the tarot and the death card. The 13th card in the tarot is the death card. So what could we possibly see happen to these markets, especially as we get ready to lead into 1/11 tomorrow, which is the day of manifestation. And we know last year Bitcoin hit its all-time high on 1110, which is 1110. Drop to 0111. What could happen tomorrow on 1/11? So very important. Who knows? So we knew there was going to be a reset, and that was the year moving into 2021 where we printed more money than the past 200 plus years combined. The most money historically in a year, $14 trillion since its inception of the Federal Reserve in 1913. And that's what led to all this. Alright, so now where this is even more special with the 137 is I previously shared in my last video how Friday the 13th, when spelt out, gives us that 223, and this 71 in the year of the sacred feminine is what we just exited. Pay attention to this 1771 number that we'll make connections to later. But when we do it Friday the 13th, we get that 137, the 33rd prime number. We seen Bitcoin hit a 69,000K top, and we saw the queen die. And her, when you typed her name out, she gave you 69. So very important. She died during the year of the sacred feminine. And remember, we're in the year of the rabbit, a symbolism for Venus, the goddess of love. Okay, so very important. Just making connections here to this 137. Alright. So what just happened recently on 119 for Bitcoin? Well, we know on 11/9, the mirror of 9/11, when we seen the Twin Towers come down, we saw Bitcoin hit its low. Okay, so we've been in a bear flag and a kind of rally since then. We had a rising wedge with a chance of a 68 chance of a breakdown, a descending wedge with a 68% chance of a breakout. We got above our horizontal trading range and have been breaking back above our $17,100 range, and we'll see if we can close the daily there. But anyways, this was the bottom out of Bitcoin, and also basically the bottom out of FTX and the scam behind Sam Bankman-Fried and French fried flapjack guy, and it started the narrative of why Bitcoin's in a downtrend, and it started spreading all over the mainstream media and Joe Rogan and your favorite YouTube analyst, and it's still going on right now today with the plea deal and the nonsense. This was a ritual for the markets to bring it down to the golden ratio of phi that we've taught you about. So very important. So, and this was happening around a lunar eclipse, just like before that with Terra Luna during the lunar eclipse back in May and June. We saw what happened to Terra Luna during that time period during a lunar eclipse. So it's just been back-to-back lunar eclipse rituals, and this was the 11/9 date that we had our recent low. So we have this 11/9 connection, and that's important because we've been talking about how we are in the year of the rabbit, more specifically the water rabbit, giving us that same 119, tying us into, we know, the all-seeing eye of providence that's on the back of your dollar bill, or the motherboard matrix realm and reality that we live on. So let me take all out of there, but giving us that same 119. So very important, wanting to bring up the connections to this 119 and why it's so very important. Okay, you know, we identify these numbers, and we've gone through this in the past and made bullish calls. This 79, which we know is the 22nd prime number, was very important last year. It's the element atomic number for gold, the gold element. Okay, and we use the periodic table of elements as well, so that was important. Bitcoin's Satoshi Nakamoto, Bitcoin's pseudonym named artificial creator, is 47 years old, about to turn 48 in April. We'll talk about that later, but this 47, which is the 15th prime number, was important because we just transitioned, or are about to transition, out of the year of the tiger, which gives us that 15, 47 being the 15th prime number. So very important that we just continue to make these bullish connections to the year of the water rabbit. It's just starting with this example. One other thing to mention about 11/9, it was the day leaving 52 days left in the year, and we know there are 52 weeks in a year. There are 52 cards in a playing deck. Okay, so very important. So this was a day that left 52 days left in the year, and it was a day that added up to 62 in numerology. We know the queen, she was coronated on, 6/2 or 2/6, internationally written, however you want to consider that. She was highly tied to this 2662 number, and we saw her die this year. Okay, so very important. She died in September 8th, Virgin Mary's birthday. So 2 days in the 2022 year after the 9/6 date, and she was 96 years old. So very important. But just getting back to this 52 and 25 connection, this is going to be a very important number to pay attention to coming up, and we can see why, because we see rabbit gives us that same 52. Okay, so we're going to put that down there, that 47. Bitcoin Satoshi Nakamoto is 47 years old. Today is January 10th. Rabbit gives us 110, and I'm giving you this video. So very important, that 5225 as above, so below. So rabbit giving us that 52 in the year of the rabbit. So very important. We're going to look at these numbers as power numbers, important numbers this year. We know cryptocurrency gives us that 52 in Chaldean. Even Chinese New Year, which is what spelled Chinese wrong, I believe. Yeah. Even Chinese New Year, which is the year of the rabbit, gives us that same 52 in Chaldean. So very important. That 224 we get in Satoshi Nakamoto, it's not down there, but we get that 224 tying us into Bitcoin. That 71, the mirror of 17, that we'll be discussing in a minute. Tying us, because this 71 and 17 ties us into this 52-25 connection. So this 17, 52, 25, 71, and I believe 12 and 21 are going to be important numbers to talk about this year, and we'll discuss this, so give us a second. Please bear with us. So getting a lot of these 52-25 connections, and it's not a coincidence. What this ties back to is a couple elements, like we talked about at the periodic table of elements. And what it's going to tie back to, first of all, is the 52nd element, which is tellurium, which is giving us that 52, which is derived, the name of it's derived from the Latin word tellus. Okay, so let's copy that and go right here, and let's see what tellus gives us, you guys. We'll put Chinese New Year down there. It gave us 52. Tellus, which is a word known for earth in Latin, gives us the 17. Okay, so we'll put that down there because it's a word known for earth, where we live. 52, 17, 25, tying us into the rabbit in the Chinese New Year, which is happening this year on earth, you guys. So that's the first element that we can tie this into. So very important. But let me show you another one. The 36th element, which is Krypton. Okay, and we'll just show you how this is all tied together. Krypton is giving us this same 119 that's tying us into the water rabbit this year. So very important. Excuse me. This is the element where we actually get the word crypto from, the Greek word kryptos, which means secret or hidden. It's hidden, tying us back to the element krypton, the 36th element. Okay, giving us the 119, tying us into the motherboard, the all-seeing eye. Bitcoin hitting its most recent low on 11.9. Okay, so the Chinese New Year is officially going to be on if I can find it. Chinese New Year is officially going to be on January 22nd, which is tying us into another one of our favorite pals, Pope Poppy Francis. Get ready to see him exit the world stage like you did the Queen. I know I'm preparing you for it in advance, and you won't believe it when it happens, even though I'm out here documenting it. But we're going to see him ascend too. But this Chinese New Year is starting on Pope Francis's day. This is a day for Pope Francis, giving us that 122, the start of the Chinese New Year, the year of the rabbit. Okay, so very important. Just wanted to add that in there for extra credit. But let's get into some date numerology of 122. Okay, we'll leave Friday the 13th coming up 3 days from now, and we'll just go to 122 2023, which is from today 12 days away. Okay, very important. But we'll leave it at the 13th right now. But this is giving us a 22 date numerology, the 22nd day of the year. We know this 22 is tended to this past year show us a reset in the markets. Okay, it tends to bring a change in the markets. Okay, so remember that. We'll pay attention to this because also it's 122. 1 times 22 is 22, giving us more emphasis on 22. It's tying us into Pope Poppy Francis on this day. But anyways, it's just a very important day, I think, for us to pay attention to. It gives us that 343, which is 7 times 7 times 7. And this date numerology is a 12, like we've talked about. And it matters a lot because, again, rabbit gives us 12 in Chaldean, the mirror of 21. And the two most important ciphers is the Chaldean, the purest. I speak the English language, so it's ordinal, English ordinal, and then it'd be reduction and the reverses. If you want to start getting fancy and getting into some of these other ones, have fun. But for me, I don't try and dilute my decoding. I try to just keep it calm, cool, collective, and teach you the hidden esoteric symbolic connections through what they give us, what we see, what we experience, etc. And then I like to take it all the way back to the Greek, Roman, Mesopotamian, Sumerian, ancient Babylonian mythologies. Okay, that's where I find my true connections and truth, without diluting my data with typing out a bunch of words, and using a bunch of extra ciphers, just getting a bunch of different number connections. I'm looking at it at a way of I'm trying to simplify things to teach others without overcomplicating things. Because a lot of decoding for novices tends to be people just trying to find connections. They're thirsty to make things fit in their bias and their truth, and they're going in it with an energy that is very parasitic and wrapped around their belief without being, unbiased. And I'm going through it with the bases and origins and chronicalizing things back to their beginnings, back to Egyptian mythology, back to as far as we know to man today, and with symbolism, etc. And that's how we should learn how to decode. And when we use numerology, gematria, it will make our technical analysis more effective and make us wealthier, not only in knowledge, gnosis, wisdom, but profitable in finance as well. And I just wanted to share that, maybe something you can take note on, to get you more focused on what matters, instead of getting lost in all the sauce and minutia and monotony that we see on the world stage, the narratives, distractions, Damar Hamlin, and but anyways, getting back into our decode of the year of the rabbit, this 22nd date numerology is definitely a special date. Again, tying us into Pope Poppy Francis. It's the 22, the master builder, master architect, master destroyer number. It's the day leaving 343 days left in the year, which is 7 times 7 times 7. And it's given us a day of date numerology that adds up to 66. And when we tie this back to the recent start of Rosh Hashanah and the Jewish Hebrew New Year and the end of the Shemitah, which started the sabbatical year, okay, I thought that was a 66 date numerology as well, but it's not. It's a 118-day span, which ties us into Harp. Harp's birthday was August 11th. High active Aurora research program equals 223 in numerology. So I do see this year, 2023, being a year where we see the most natural disasters ever. But that's interesting. I think the connection with that 66 was we used the lunar cycles here, giving us that same 17 and 66 connection right here. So we use the lunar moon pattern cycles. So this day, the Sunday, it'll be the day of the sun leading into Monday, the day of the moon. Very important, which is the first full day of the Chinese New Year. 1, 2, 3. Okay, tying us all in here with mankind, giving us that same 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter what you believe you are, because apparently you can nowadays say you're whatever. But anyway, mankind giving us that same 66 and 123 we were just talking about. I know some of you are going to say this is just conspiracy, but I don't care. Sorry about the misspelling, but giving us that same 1, 2, 3. But again, numerology, gematria, these things have been used for thousands of years and are math, which is rationality, true, and always correct, point blank period. So we know that's given us the day of the moon, 123, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, go, being a 119-day span from 9/11 in the year of the water rabbit. This just started, and it'll be the first full day of the year of the water rabbit, giving us that 119 in the water rabbit, tying us into all CNI, the motherboard. Bitcoin just hit its low on 11.9. We know what happened to the Twin Towers on 9/11, so very important. But this will be the 23rd day of the year, and it will be a Monday, Moon Day, and we know Moon gives us that same 23 in numerology. So very important, irrefutable. Okay, so multiple connections here. We're also in the Hebrew year of 5783, which equals 23. We're in the 2023 year. In America, that's how most people will write it. That's not going to go down there, but just remember that. So we're going to see multiple 23 connections this year, or 32 connections. Pay attention to the enigma of 23. Do your due diligence on that research if you haven't already. So the first full day of the year of the water rabbit, being 119 days since the start of the Jewish Hebrew New Year, it's going to be very ritualistic and powerful, where we can see some kind of event, scripted death, possibly around Pope Poppy Francis or someone, some kind of news in the markets, just something that will get you distracted, lost, broken, and confused coming out of the Broken Compass news. Okay? So very important. So another name for the rabbit, going all the way back to the Mayan culture, is the hare, giving us 23 or 32. So very important. Another 23 connection to the year of the rabbit. Considering the word rabbit has this 52 and 25 theme with this 12, and the water rabbit has this 119 theme, we're tying this date of November 9th and Bitcoin's low and the SBX, Sam Bankman-Fried, whatever, we're tying that in to the cards and have been talking about it. And it was in 2022. Left 52 days left in the year. We've been using this 52-25 connection, and if we tie that to there's the 119 date, we've been talking about that, left 52 days in the year. Rabbit gave us 52, that's what we were talking about, tying us into Earth, tying us into everything that we've been discussing. But if we connect this 52 days forward to (119) 52 days forward. So it'd be February. Sorry about this, you guys. Obviously, you see we've been working with a lot of numbers. Alright. But if we tie this from 11/9, where the Sam Bankman-Fried had the SBX and everything happened, Bitcoin hit its low. It was the 11/9 date. We saw the Bitcoin markets crash like the towers did. And it was the 52nd day of the year. Okay, we know there are 52 cards in a playing deck. Alright? Play 52 card pickup, have fun. And if we tie it into 125, the third day of the Lunar New Year, the Chinese New Year, it's connected back to that time period by 77 days. And we know we were exiting out of the 7-year sabbatical cycle. 2023 is 2 plus 2 plus 3 is 7. So around this time period of the new moon, we could see some energy, because this is a 69 date numerology as well, a 33 as well. Again, giving us that 25, tying us into rabbit. That gives us 52, 25, the mirror of 52. So very important. So, just sorry about the confusion there and the mix-up, but just trying to make some connections here that reiterate the importance of this time period and how ritualistic it could be for potentially finally bringing us a low in this year-long downtrend before we finally see an automatic rally that doesn't create new all-time highs, but gives us an opportunity to de-risk all of our accumulation opportunities we've been taking for the last several months. So very important. So anyways, we're in right now Capricorn, for those of you that are unaware, and it's also giving us that same 52 connection. This is traditional zodiac. Capricorn is also known as Makara, giving us that 117. So let's pay attention to January 17th coming up, which, if we date all the way back to Rosh Hashanah and the Jewish Hebrew New Year and the start of it and the end of the Shemitah, the 7-year sabbatical cycle, and we take it all the way to 117, you're going to see a very interesting connection with this 3-month and 22-day with the 113, the Babylonian Talmud, the Baba Kamal being the 17th day of the year. That 17 number, again, so very important. 17 is the 7th prime number. Also giving us that 25, the 25-52 connection we've been making. But Capricorn giving us that 52, like the word rabbit, etc. But Makara giving us that 117, like Bitcoin gives us that 117. So let's pay attention to January 17th. So very important. Alright. Capricorn also gave us 97, which is the 25th prime number. Like, you can't make this up, you guys. We've been talking about this. 2552. 97 ties us back to crypto with that 97, that same 25 connection. And BTC, the ticker symbol, trading symbol, gives us that 25. So very important for us to pay attention to that. So we know Capricorn is the sea goat. It's a water symbol, okay? Aquarius is the water barrier. This is the year of the water rabbit. So we're just exploring some of the exoteric things to consider with this decode. But let's look at the word Aquarius. We're getting AQUARIUS. We're getting that 107. Yeah, that same 17 that we've been talking about. So very important. Aquarius, water symbol, right? Alright. That 107 is also tying us back into currency with that same 107, 27 connection to money. Okay. Alright. So if we look at the periodic table of elements again, and we go to the 47th element, which is silver, it gives us an atomic mass of 107. This silver is known as a currency, the second best to gold, okay? So very important. Just tying this in here. Multiple 107, which is 17 connections as well. Alright, so the end of Rosh Hashanah this year, as a matter of fact, since we were just talking about Rosh Hashanah and the Shemitah. We know Rosh Hashanah is a move-in date every year for the Jewish Hebrew New Year. The Shemitah is a 7-year sabbatical cycle, and the Jubilee is a 50-year cycle after the 7th 7-year cycle. And this day coming up, the end of the next Rosh Hashanah will be 107, 107 days left in the year. So very important. Just making multiple connections to this 107 and this 1771, connections. This is the 28th prime number, which is known as a perfect number, or the sum of 56, which we know we got in, I believe we got that same 56 in rabbits. No, All Seeing Eye gives us 56. Motherboard gives us 56. Mind Control gives us 56. So very important. Alright, and I'll show you that. which is what MK Ultra is, which is anything that comes out of your TV or your black box of Saturn, giving us that same 137, the 33rd prime number. So again, very important. All right. But 107 is the 28th prime number. We got an eclipse, which is a solar eclipse coming up, giving us that 28th prime number, 107. So an interesting connection will be 420, April 20th. Expecting Bitcoin to be in an automatic rally, and the lows already being by that time period, and we be getting ready to de-risk. So very important. All right. So more 25 and 52 connections. Coming back to the water rabbit, we have H2O giving us that same 25. We know C, because it's the year of the water, it gives us 25. We know Poseidon or Neptune is the god of the sea, and we can see that the god of the seas is giving us that same 52. Okay, so irrefutable, undeniable how important this 52-25 connection is going to be. We know Neptune or Poseidon, Neptune holds the trident, which is the staff, okay, giving us that same 25, 52. It's a three-pointed staff, like they say the devil carries, okay? So very important, okay? So this 25, 52, again, this trident is a staff. It's going to be an important number this year, And when you're a worker, you're considered part of the staff, aren't you? And it's like the boss is like the god or the owner, and he holds the staff, right? You got to start holding your own staff, your own trident, okay? So remember that. Become Poseidon, become Zeus, Hades, Pluto. They all have a staff. Become your own architect and creator. So, Mars has a spear or a sword, giving us that same 25. Mars is the lover of Venus, so that ties us back into, the year of the rabbit, fertility, Venus year. Okay. Another important 25 is Venus, who was known as the Pearl. She was born of the seas, the Pearl, that 52-25 connection. She was born in the clam shell, giving us that same. She was giving us that same 25, 52 connection in Pearl, clam shell. The goddess of the seas, the goddess of love. So something very important for us to connect to. We were delivered from the waters of our mother's womb. Okay, there are laws of the land and laws of the sea, National Maritime Admiralty Law, laws of the high seas. So very important. So we got to pay attention to this, do our own due diligence and research. So very important. Just want to continue to make these multiple connections. All right. So one more day I think that we're going to look at real quick is, I think we've looked at it. 17th, the 18th, the 19th, January 19th, 119. That could be a very important day as well. We know the 21st, 22nd tends to bring a microstructure reset and recycle to the markets, and we can see that very well. And one great example recently, right back here, if we were to go to the daily time frame on the 22nd, we'll go to the 2-hour time frame. It's a lot easier to see. We can see our microstructure reset on the 22nd before continuation. Right down here on the 21st, 22nd, microstructure reset, bringing us a low bottom before continuation. Right here was on the 19th, which was December 19th. December is known as Deci 10, the true first, or the true 10th month of the year, which is 1 dropped to 0 on the 19th, is 119 9/11. So of course the low came prematurely before the 21st, 22nd. Still got a little bit of a restructure, reset below this horizontal trend line around the 22nd before holding support again. So very important. Just things that we've brought up over time. And let's continue to get into this decode. Not this decode, but just continue to look at some Bitcoin technical analysis. Go to this chart we had right here and speak about it. I want to remind you all that you already have everything within you, the answers within you, and that's what's going to give you bliss this year and allow you to access abundance, love, and gratitude, and be ultimately a better investor and a better person in life. And I know that's hard for some people to believe, but that's the purpose behind what I'm doing here at the Daily Candle Close News. Get exactly my truth out, share the esoteric perspective behind these markets, life, etc. But I talk a lot about mindset, and I believe that's what's ultimately going to allow us to take action, especially whenever these moments come. And when these markets come to us, what are we going to do in response? Are we going to react, or are we going to respond? And the ones who have a really well-developed investment thesis and plan, craft, and skill built, they know they must trade their plan that they have built. And those are going to be the ones that are going to thrive in these markets. They're not going to be the ones who wait until markets return to bullish energy, okay, and then start to FOMO in at tops. They're going to be the ones that are taking advantage while the markets are in these very devastating phases, and while it's boring and bloody and scary, and all the narratives are out there saying crypto's a scam, etc. Like, you're going to be the one taking advantage to make life-changing wealth for your family and legacy that you're leaving, because you're not waiting around for some influence or some savior to come save you. The way this world is constructed is through the lenses of influencers, information, misinformation, and emotion and fear tied to it. Okay, with very little feeling, very little living, and more existing. There's a big difference, okay? So if there's anything I could do on this platform here, it would be to remind humans to live and not exist. Regain access to your feelings, your real intuition. Because that is where you'll actually be able to put some change into your life and start this energetic procedure of changing your life, the alchemical process of becoming the alchemist. You can't just change without changing your daily routines. You got to change your daily routines. And what's happening with a lot of the world right now, they're trying to change, but they're starting New Year's resolutions in the middle of winter, while winter's still hibernating, while nature's still hibernating, instead of March in the first of the year. And 2, they're trying to change without changing their daily routines and staying true to themselves. And they're waiting around for some influencer or savior to change their life for them. And that is nonsense. That is psychopathy, insanity. And you can only do this so many times before you just realize that you're either going to continue to do this, or you're going to be the savior. You're going to be the Messiah, the anointed one. We need to be able to access that inspiration from within and find our true self, our higher calling, our purpose. And so I hope everyone's doing well this new year. I believe today might be a little bit more quicker on the technical analysis with everything we've already shared. There's not a lot to talk about with the specifics. I went over a lot with the dates and everything with the year of the rabbit decoded already. And so we'll be revisiting some of that maybe. But for the most part, we're going to try and get right into the technical analysis, because I know we've already dragged this out for probably over an hour. We're already past the full moon. We'll be 5 days past that tomorrow, where we tend to see a window of bearish energy possibly coming in. We're still holding the 888 level of Fibonacci extension and retracement, and that's pretty bullish. So as long as we can continue to hold that and get back above this trend line, then that would be bullish. We're going to start right here. We're looking at this on the weekly time frame. This is the index chart, and it's just a clean chart. I added in this trend line over time, going back 7 years, 8 years. So, and what we want to pay attention to is how we had this 2018 blow off top that came down and rolled into the start of this trend line that we saw came into effect back here, held support right here before a blow off top, before the C19 scam, pandemic that we saw the Federal Reserve bail us out of, to the 1618 if we pulled a fib pool from high to low right here, a very overheated area. So remember that. Coming back down to the 888, not surprising. But just want to show you the significance of how important this is going back in time, especially on the logarithmic chart. We had this buying climax blow off top, with a Shemitah starting and leading us into a new all-time high, 69K in the year of Saturn equals 69, before ABC, which would be something I could show you is basically a bull trap, or not a bull trap, it basically is a bull trap, but a dead cat bounce from, we go to this low from our previous, we know this was the top. The Shemitah carried us up higher. We knew it would before a dramatic sell-off, and we see that was a dead cat bounce from the 702, the golden pocket. So I know a lot of people are still considering this right here bear market territory, but this is proof that this is a bear market territory. This is proof that it's a bear market territory. And until you start entering this moment right here where you're breaking previous all-time highs, that's where you start to exit a bear market and enter price discovery, which again doesn't last long, as you can tell, just a few months. Alright, but if we were to really look at this trend line, and I know we're looking at it on the weekly, but we got a good chance of holding in multiple weekly candle closes above this, and it could be great, but we're splitting hairs right here, and it's, if we lose level of this trend line that is tertiary, and then which is secondary considering the fib, and then lose this Fibonacci 888, we could fall all the way down to that 13,700 range, this previous automatic rally top that we've talked about in the past. We've already broke for the first time ever the previous blow off top. Never seen Bitcoin in 13 years do that. So this trend line does matter, and if I'm seeing a trend line that goes back 8+ years, and we want to be fair, we got to take it into considerations when we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 major touch points with a lot of chart data, then it's significant, okay? And we got to pay attention to it. So what we haven't seen is this right here. We came straight down and consolidated sideways around the 382, and then fell down into this trend line, and then went into an automatic rally. And we really haven't kind of seen that for Bitcoin this time yet. We had this very different crown distributional top with the extra blow off top and an ABC correction. Now we're just consolidating sideways. Could this start to be the breakdown before we kind of dip below this trend line, and then consider to climb back up over time? Something we've been preparing you for in time. So we had a sideways trading range of this 382 before we broke down again, but we don't have that right here. So if we were to say we had a horizontal trading range that we broke, it would be around $33,000. We can consider that to be our de-risking range if we were to get an automatic rally to start right there up to around, let's say, $47,000, if we were to get an automatic rally. I know it's hard to understand and to be making calls right now if this is the bottom. Some people are saying it is. I don't care as much if it is or not. What's $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 when we've been dollar cost averaging in for years? It's all irrelevant when you look at it on a large scale. When something's went from under a penny to $70,000, you don't really give a shit when you know it's going to go to 6-7 figures one day. When you're really adamant about your investment thesis on whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum, XRP, Cardano, whatever, you will dollar cost average into it and learn how to trade it, de-risk it, accumulate it, and build your profit portfolio to be, something you can leave behind for your children, your grandkids. That's how I look at investing. That's how I move in this market. It's not for me. It's for leaving behind a legacy, becoming a pioneer who builds an empire, a fortress. So very important. So whether we recover here or go another leg lower, it's not going to create an emotional response for me. I've been through this. We teach this. So something I've been wanting to just get back into is market psychology. Be a leader of this idea of that you can all be in the same position that we're in, that are sophisticated. You can be emotionless. Save your emotions for real life. Do the work, do the skill, do the craft, build your own around your truths, and don't react. Respond. Don't exist, live. Don't let your outlook on reality be dictated on the market behavior and what it does at the time. That's slavery, you guys. Everyone should break through that slavery mindset, especially if you want to access the anointed one, the Christos, the Messiah, abundance. People think abundance is in their portfolio and their bank account. Well, no, that's wrong. Abundance is real life and living, and you got a lot to learn if you think otherwise. So remember that. So just know this trend line is pretty important. We'll see how well it comes into play moving forward. And let's see. We talked about some macro 30,000 foot overview on the weekly time frame. Let's go over to our main chart and see what's up in the short term. Wow. We recently, talked about this horizontal 16,700, which was psychologically 17,000. We know that 7117 number has been important because Kirstie Alley died at 71 in the Jewish Hebrew New Year on the 71st day in the year of the sacred feminine, which equaled 71. And we just made a lot of 17107 connections in this video. So another very important number to continue to pay attention to is this 71 this year. And we finally broke back above 17,000, a range that we talked about in my last video. We held support of that and the heart line of this regression trend, and look at where we're back at right now. Not surprising. Put it out in advance, told you about it. So we were talking about this 17,000 horizontal trading range to 16,800. So we can see we came up above it. The RSI on the 2-hour time frame is at 68, hit a high of 79. So people were talking about this market's been pumping during the full moon, and it's like if you go back in time and look over the last couple years around January, February to March transition, the moon patterns do tend to flip. The full moons kind of are bringing a bullish energy, while the new moons bring a bearish energy. So remember that with all that we've talked about in this video, with a lot of the astrology and things coming up at the end of the month leading into the new moon. So very important. But it's because people aren't paying attention and looking at this market, going back in time, viewing history, and connecting it to future technical analysis. So if you're feeling like the coins are pumping right now, it's because you're looking at it from one specific bias side. or you're looking at one specific coin like Cardano and ADA, it's just pumped after it's already dropped 92% since its last all-time high, then yeah, of course we can go from if this is our low, up 44% in a span of a few days. You want to know why? Because it's dropped 92%. Okay, so not surprising. So of course when we see Bitcoin rally, of course it's eventually going to relieve some of the altcoins that have been in a perpetual downtrend, some 2, 3, 4, 5 year suppressions. Okay, so we're still setting lower highs at this time period. So until we break this regression trend top and hit 181, Satoshi Nakamoto 181, and this $18,700 range, and start treating them as support, then what do you expect? Because we're still in basically a bear flag, a bullish pattern, so hopefully you're listening to the things that we've been saying. Alright, if we get rejection from this heart line or this 181, set a lower high, then we can come back down. And if we don't treat this as support, because we can come back and retest this might not be the retest, we can come back and retest again, and if we fail to hold support, we can fall back down into 14K, 13K, 11.9, 11,900, some ranges we've been preparing you for, because this bear flag is still a bearish pattern. So this person that just thinks that they know it all, or can watch some bearable bull or some kind of analyst or whatever, and thinks that they're going to be a millionaire because they hold crypto, they're going to be the person that are asking, should I buy now? And they're the same ones selling right here. They're not listening to a single word that we're teaching here. They're waiting for a savior, waiting for to be told, and I don't want that here. That's not welcome here. I want you to be self-efficient, self-reliant. That's what will make this community amazing and abundant and beautiful, and allow us to come together with our truths, sharing them, and teaching others how to become the chosen one. So rise above. Listen to the things that we're teaching. Take notes while we go through these episodes, especially when we're pouring our heart and soul, especially when we're talking about the lunar cycle, especially when we talk about the numerology, gematria, the technical analysis. You can't think that this is going to be a one-to-one repeat every single month. There's going to be slight deviations depending on the time frame of the year. All things considered, what's going on in the news, apparently even Monday Night Football. What's going on in the government, the people who print the money, so we gotta pay attention to what we're teaching here. How does the market move when the money printers inject the money into the market, and how does it move to the downside when they sell the money in the market? So remember, we're at a place where the market is clearly being ran by retail right now, especially when we're talking about things like altcoins, and and that's not good, especially if we see Bitcoin continue to take a leg lower, because we're going to see a lot more things like what happened to Terra Luna and what unfolded there, just a downtrend. That's Terra Luna Classic, Terra Luna, that's Luna Classic anyway. But anyway, things like FTX and what we recently saw right here, we're going to see just perpetual downtrends and 100% losses, So one of the things we've been speaking on is mindset and evolving. Stop asking, why is it happening to me? And start asking, what am I supposed to learn from this? Okay? Because when you change your mindset and your questions, you're going to start noticing that you're helped in a more holistic fashion. It's 119. Because you're going to take in the data, and you're going to be able to look at it through the eyes of the alchemist, the architect. You're going to bring it into your reality and change your own life. And you're going to see how it resonates with you instead of blindly accepting someone else's truths. So let's see if we can get above this regression trend and this 18,100, or Bitcoin's going back down to 16,000, 17,000. So if we can hold this 17,000 level, fine, that's going to be great. All right, so who knows? But we'll go ahead and look at Ethereum real quick, because we got to get off here and go get our son from school. But there's not much to talk about, we're going to go through it pretty quick, because it's the same story. We're getting stopped out right here at a possible double top. Prior support, come up, breakdown, support, breakout. Okay, getting stopped out right here at this cluster range right here on the 2-hour time frame, exactly where we have this $13,050 horizontal trading range. This could be an M pattern, which could be bearish, bringing us back down. If we don't break back above, get a new higher high, setting higher lows, we're still just kind of trapped in this possible, this could be it, the de-risk range, and it still stands for about 1,100, 1,000 flat, 1,100 being in January, Giannis 1-1, January 1st, Genesis the beginning 1-1, or this 1073, possible accumulation range. So who knows? Look at the weekly. Yeah, two bullish engulfings, back to back, with a possible W pattern breakout. This could be a possible good thing. Maybe. But how high does it take us, If we be conservative and go all the way to wick lows and then come back, and if we were to break above this neckline and then hit this, come back, retest, we're still just breaking out to above around 16,000. And if we don't break that, that can still just set lower highs, and bringing us back down over time. Who knows? But I do think Ethereum is going to outperform a lot of other assets, and it's been super suppressed, and I'm holding a lot of horizontal support recently. So I've been very bullish and dollar cost averaging into this, in case this is the automatic rally start where we get a chance to de-risk if we get back into these 25 to $3,300 ranges. So pretty key. Let's keep that in mind. Let's get into XRP. So, we know it just entered a new exchange. It was finally relisted and nothing happened. We still ain't broke above our trend line that's dated back for a year. Nothing's going on. Nothing to be excited about. No news about the lawsuit. Nothing. Weekly time frame, still can't get above it. Nothing's changed. Daily time frame, been in an energy of getting back above 32.2, 32.3, skull and bones range that we accumulated at, and hopefully, we can get above and de-risk, especially if Bitcoin continues to break above our regression trend line and just climb out. Maybe XRP can finally break above this, give us an opportunity to de-risk before we potentially come back down, ride this trend line as support, and reaccumulate over time. Not financial advice, just how we're looking at this. But we've been brought up into this trend line, and we know every time we hit rejection, we tend to get, even if we get above, we still tend to get a lower low over time. Been in place since 2021, and irrefutable. You can even take it back all the way if we were to extend this, more than likely, close to, let's look at this on logarithmic. I thought it might bring us all the way back into this time period here, but still not much to talk about. Just holding support at this 32.2, and I really think we got a chance to see if Bitcoin drops below this 17,000 range again, below 16, 15, 14 into 11,000, we can possibly see Bitcoin or XRP fall to 27 to 223 in the 223 year, or possibly all the way down to 15, 14 cents. And it has everything to do with XRP giving us that 14, that 15. Bitcoin is 14 years old. So very important. So with all that being said, I think I've went over everything. to discuss the important year that we're heading into, the year of the rabbit, the water rabbit. And hopefully it enlightened you and showed you some of the method behind the madness. But take care and God bless. Pioneers rise, build your fortress and build your legacy. We'll see you in the next one.